Alright, imagine this. You're at a garage sale, sipping your iced coffee, casually flipping through a box of old coins, when suddenly, you spotted a 1949 penny. You think, meh, another old penny. But here's the kicker, this little guy could be worth, brace yourself, $4 million. Yes, you heard that right, $4 million. Don't believe me? Stick around, because I'm about to show you how that beat-up penny might just make you richer than your wildest dreams. Okay, let's talk pennies. We've all got a jar of them somewhere, right? That little stash that we swear we'll get around to sorting through eventually. But here's the thing, not all pennies are created equal. Take, for example, the 1949 Lincoln penny. I know, you're probably thinking, it's just a penny. What's so special about it? Well, let me tell you, there's one key detail about the 1949 penny that could turn it into a gold mine, the no mint mark variety. See, most coins have a little mint mark right next to Abraham Lincoln's shoulder. That's where it tells you which mint the coin came from. Philadelphia coins, like most of them, don't have a mint mark, but then there's this rare breed from 1949. No mint mark, just silence. And that silence speaks volumes in the world of coin collecting. So, what makes this coin so valuable? In 1949, the Philadelphia Mint was supposed to make these pennies, but they had a little hiccup. Some pennies from that year were struck without the mint mark, which was a total fluke. A little mistake that no one expected would turn into a big deal 75 years later. Fast forward to today, and the 1949 no mint mark Lincoln penny is one of the most sought after coins by collectors. And if you happen to have one of these bad boys, you could be sitting on a small fortune, like $4 million fortune. Now, I know what you're thinking, that's insane. I've got a jar full of pennies from the 40s, but they're all just regular old copper. Well, don't toss them just yet. There are still some other pennies from this era that could be worth a lot more than their face value. But finding one of these mint-era coins is like hunting for treasure in a haystack. It's rare, but when you find it, it's gold, and here's the kicker. I actually found a penny just like this once. Well, not exactly a 1949 no mint mark, but I did find a 1943 steel penny in a coffee can my grandma had lying around. I remember thinking it was just some rusty old coin, but then I looked it up. Guess what? It was worth over $100. So, I'm here to tell you, don't overlook those coins just because they look old and worn out. You might have a gem hiding in plain sight. But, here's the hard truth, finding one of these rare pennies isn't easy. To find a 1949 no mint mark penny in good condition is like finding a needle in a haystack. If the coin's worn down from years of circulation, its value can take a hit. So, you've got to be picky when you go coin hunting. Look for one that's in decent shape, with clear details on Lincoln's face, the date, and the reverse side. The better the condition, the higher the price tag. And if you do find a 1949 no mint mark Lincoln penny in mint condition, meaning, like, almost brand new, that could be worth a jaw-dropping $4 million. That's not a typo. A coin with that level of quality and rarity can go for millions at auction. So, what's the takeaway here? Next time you're going through your collection of old pennies, don't just toss them aside. A 1949 no mint mark penny could be worth more than your car, or maybe even your house. And hey, if you do find one of these bad boys, don't just take my word for it. Get it professionally graded and appraised, because you could be sitting on a small fortune. You never know when your next lucky penny is going to pop up. Now, if you want more tips on finding coins worth big money, and how to turn those rare finds into a hefty payday, don't forget to subscribe to the channel. We've got all kinds of tips and tricks to help you cash in on your coins. Hit that bell icon so you don't miss out on the next treasure hunt. And, hey, if you find that $4 million penny, send me a thank you card, alright? You're digging through your spare change, looking for that one gem of a coin, when you stumble across something that could be worth millions. Yep, that's right, millions. And
And
today, we're talking about the 1962 D Lincoln penny, a coin that could change your life, or at least make you feel pretty darn lucky that you're probably thinking, a penny? Worth millions? Nah, that's gotta be some sort of mistake. Well, buckle up because I'm about to show you how one little penny from 1962 could make your wallet feel like it's bursting with cash. So, let's get into it. The 1962 D Lincoln penny was minted in Denver, and at first glance, it looks like every other penny that you've probably seen. Simple, right? A Lincoln head on one side, the Lincoln Memorial on the other. No big deal. But wait, there's more to this penny than meets the EYE that in 1962, the US Mint produced billions of pennies, and most of them are worth, well, just 1 cent. But there's a catch. Sometimes, mistakes happen at the mint. And when those mistakes happen, they can turn a regular coin into a small fortune. The 1962 D Lincoln penny is one of those rare errors that can send your coin collection into overdrive. Now, let me tell you a quick story. A while back, I found a 1962 D penny in my pocket change. I didn't think much of it at first. In fact, I nearly tossed it in the jar with the rest of my loose change. But then, something told me to check it out. Maybe it was my inner coin geek kicking in, or maybe it was just pure luck. Either way, I took a closer look and you know what? That little penny was not just any old 1962 D. It had a minting flaw that made it way more valuable than its face value. Now, I'm not saying I found a $3.8 million penny like the one I'm about to tell you about, but I did learn a valuable lesson that day. Always check your change, folks. You never know what's hiding in there. Back to the 1962 D Lincoln penny. This rare coin became famous when one of these pennies was auctioned off for a mind-blowing $3.8 million. Yep, you heard that right, $3.8 million. That's not a typo. So, what makes this penny so valuable? The key factor is an error called a double die that happened during the minting process. A double die occurs when the design on the coin is stamped twice, slightly offset from the original design. This error causes the letters and numbers on the penny to appear more bold and thick than usual. In the case of the 1962 D penny, the doubling was noticeable enough to catch the eye of serious collectors, and that's what made it so special. Now, you're probably wondering, how do I know if I have one of these valuable pennies? Well, here's the trick. Check for the double die error. The most obvious sign is the doubling of the letters and numbers on the coin, particularly in the words Liberty and In God We Trust. If you can see a noticeable shift or duplication in these areas, you might be holding a hidden gem, but don't go getting too excited just yet. Not every 1962 D penny is worth millions. In fact, most of them are just regular old pennies. But if you happen to have a penny with the double die error in great condition, you could have a small fortune on your hands. And that's exactly why it's worth taking a second look at every 1962 D penny you come across. Now, I get it. You might be skeptical. Is this really happening? Can I really find a $3.8 million penny just lying around? Well, it's rare, but it does happen. The key is to know what to look for and where to look. And who knows, maybe the next time you're at a coin shop or checking out some loose change, you'll stumble upon a penny that makes you the next big coin collector sensation. So, what's the takeaway from all this? Always check your pennies, folks. You never know when you might find a rare gem worth big bucks. And remember, while finding a $3.8 million penny is a long shot, it's not entirely out of the realm of possibility. Keep your eyes peeled, stay curious, and don't ever toss away your change without taking a second look. You might just find your next fortune. Did you know that a penny you probably tossed in your pocket change last week could actually be worth a whopping $3.5 million? No, seriously. I'm talking about the legendary 1968 S-Mint Mark Lincoln penny. It's a rare gem that could make you richer than your wildest dreams. Stick around because I'm about to break it down for you, how to spot it, why it's worth so much, and, of course, how you can cash in on the coin craze. Oh, and just a heads up, no, this isn't a scam. So, grab your magnifying glass and let's dive into the world of rare coins. Trust me, you don't want to miss this. Okay, let's get right into it. The 1968 Mint Mark Lincoln penny sounds harmless, right? It's just a penny. But before you start calling your local coin dealer, let me explain why this seemingly ordinary penny is anything but. In 1968, the US Mint accidentally made a small batch of Lincoln pennies that were supposed to be struck with a proof finish, that's a high-quality, shiny version of the coin. But instead, they ended up being regular circulation pennies. These coins were so rare that they've become one of the most sought-after collectibles in the world of numismatics. Now, here's the kicker. One of these 1968 Mint pennies recently sold for a staggering $3.5 million. Yes, you heard that right, $3.5 million for a penny. Makes you want to go back and start sifting through your change jar, doesn't it? So, what makes this penny so valuable? Well, there are a few key factors. First, it's incredibly rare, so rare that you could go your entire life without ever finding one. Only a few of these 1968 pennies are known to exist in top-notch condition, and those are the ones fetching the big bucks at auctions. Second, it's all about the history and the era. Collectors love coins with fascinating backstories, and this penny has one. The fact that this coin was accidentally minted as a proof coin, instead of a regular strike coin, makes it an error of the highest order. And let's be honest, people love a good mistake. It's like the time I accidentally sent a text to my boss instead of my friend. Whoops. But in the world of rare coins, errors are pure gold. Now, you might be wondering, okay, cool story, but how do I find one of these pennies? Great question. The first step is to look for the mint mark. This is the little S near Abraham Lincoln's neck. It's tiny, so get yourself a magnifying glass. And check the finish. A proof coin has a shiny, mirror-like finish, while regular coins have a duller look. If you happen to find one of these coins in your pocket change, you'll need to have it evaluated by a professional to confirm its authenticity and value. But trust me, it's worth the effort. Speaking of finding valuable coins, let me tell you about my own little treasure hunt. A few years ago, I was sorting through a box of old coins my grandma gave me, mostly pennies, nickels, and some worn-out quarters. I wasn't expecting much, just some nice nostalgic memories. But as I went through the pile, I came across a penny that looked a little different from the others. It had that shiny finish, and the mint mark looked suspiciously like an S. My heart raced for a second, but alas, it wasn't the famous 1968 penny. It was still a cool find though, a 1943 steel penny, which is rare in its own right. So, the moral of the story is, always check your coins. You never know when you might stumble across something worth a small fortune. And honestly, I still get a thrill every time I pick up a coin that could be worth something. It's like a mini treasure hunt every time, so, there you have it. The 1968 Mint Mark Lincoln penny is not your average coin, it's a rare, valuable gem worth up to $3.5 million. It's like the unicorn of the penny world. If you happen to find one, or if you've got a hunch that you're sitting on a hidden treasure, it might be worth a professional evaluation. If you've enjoyed this coin talk and want more tips on rare coins and how to spot treasures hiding in your pocket change, make sure to hit that subscribe button. I'll be back with more ways to cash in on coins that could make you a fortune. Who knows, your next coin could be the one that changes your life. Have you ever heard of a penny that's worth millions? No, I'm not talking about a rare find at your local gas station or an antique shop. I'm talking about the 1972 Mint Mark Lincoln penny. Yep, you heard me right, $3.3 million. And if you've got one, you're not just a coin collector, you might be a future millionaire. Stick around, because today we're diving deep into this tiny treasure and what makes it worth such a jaw-dropping amount. So, grab your magnifying glass, because we're about to unlock a little bit of coin history that could change your life. Let's get into it. Now, before you go running to your spare change jar, let me explain exactly why this 1972 penny is so special. If you're thinking, isn't it just a regular penny? Well, yes and no. This is no ordinary coin, it's an error penny, and those little mistakes on minting can actually make it worth a fortune. Here's the deal. In 1972, the US Mint produced pennies, and while most of them have a mint mark, you know, the little D for Denver or S for San Francisco, some of the pennies, like the one in question, came out without any mint mark at all. The kicker? These missing mint mark pennies are extremely rare. So rare, in fact, that only a handful have been discovered over the years. So, what happened? Well, when the mint makes coins, they use dies with mint marks to show where the coin was produced. But in the case of the 1972 NO mint mark penny, a die that was meant for proof coins, which are specially struck and made to look perfect, accidentally got used to strike regular circulating pennies. Since that die didn't have a mint mark, some regular pennies came out without one. Imagine this, you've got a handful of pennies from your change jar. Maybe you're cleaning up after your kids, who, let's be honest, leave change everywhere, and you spot one of these elusive 1972 no mint mark pennies. If it's in good condition, you might just have a gold mine on your hands. In fact, the value of these rare pennies has been known to soar up to $3.3 million in the right condition. $3.30 million for a penny. Talk about a glow up. Now, to be clear, not every 1972 penny without a mint mark is worth that kind of money. It has to be in really good condition, ideally graded as MS-65 or higher by a professional coin grading service. But still, finding one of these pennies is like hitting the lottery. Imagine you could tell your friends, yeah, I found a penny, and it's worth a couple of million. That'll definitely be the conversation starter at your next dinner party. But here's a funny story from my own experience, something that might help you visualize how crazy this whole world of rare coins can be. A few years ago, I was cleaning out my grandmother's house. You know the drill, sorting through old junk and memories when, out of nowhere, I found an old mason jar filled with pennies. I thought, hey, these must be worth something, right? So, I started sifting through them like some amateur coin hunter. I pulled out a few that looked old, and one had a little bit of a weird wear pattern, nothing special, but I thought, hey, this could be my big break. I rushed to a coin shop, all excited. The guy looked at the penny, gave me a polite smile, and handed it back. That's a nice find, he said, but it's worth about 3 cents. Turns out, it wasn't a rare penny at all. But imagine if I had found a 1972 NO mint mark. That guy would have had to call for backup because of the sheer shock. Anyway, my point is this, it's easy to get excited about rare coins, and while not every penny will make you rich, knowing what to look for could really pay off. So, how do you know if you've got one of these rare 1972 pennies with no mint mark? The first step is checking the mint mark area on the coin, right below Abraham Lincoln's shoulder. If there's nothing there, you've got to investigate further. Keep an eye out for the special error die and check for signs that the penny is in good condition, no major scratches or wear, and ideally, it should be in uncirculated condition. That's when you're in the money. Alright, so what have we learned today? A 1972 NO mint mark penny could be hiding in your change jar right now, worth millions, but only if it's in great condition and the error is legit. So, get your magnifying glasses out and start looking. Who knows? That penny you've been passing by for years could be your ticket to riches, but hey, don't let me be the only one talking about these crazy finds. Hit that subscribe button so you can get more tips on coins worth money, valuable coin strategies, and all things related to building your coin collection, and maybe even your wealth. Let me know if you've ever found a coin that turned out to be worth more than you expected. Drop it in the comments below, and let's talk about it. There's no way this tiny little thing could be worth anything, right? Well, hold on to your magnifying glasses, because today we're diving into a 1970-60 Lincoln penny that could potentially be worth, get ready for it, $3 million. I know, you're probably thinking, no way, I've got like a whole jar of pennies sitting at home. Well, spoiler alert, one of those pennies could actually pay off your next vacation, or maybe even help you retire early. But before you go raiding your change jar, let me explain how this little coin went from pocket change to a serious payday. First things first, you're probably familiar with the Lincoln penny, right? It's been around since forever, it feels like. But there's a very special one from 1976 with AD mint mark that's been causing quite the stir in the coin world. So what makes this 1976 D Lincoln penny so special? Well, there's actually a pretty fascinating story behind it. The US Mint in 1976 was celebrating the bicentennial of the United States, so they started pumping out some special edition coins. But here's the kicker, some of those pennies, particularly the 1976 D versions, were produced with a serious mistake. And we're talking mistake in a big way. These pennies have what's known as a double die error. Basically, the coin was stamped incorrectly, and part of Abraham Lincoln's face, along with some other details, got doubled. Now, most people wouldn't have noticed the mistake back in the day, but today, these error pennies are highly sought after by collectors, and some are selling for millions. Yes, millions. Now, I know what you're thinking. I don't have time to go through every penny in my collection. What if I missed the jackpot? Trust me, I get it. I once found a coin in my own change jar that I thought was a dud, just a regular old nickel. But it turns out, it was a rare 1942 D nickel worth about $50. Okay, so maybe not millions, but hey, it was a nice surprise. True story, it paid for dinner one night, and that's the real win, right? But here's where it gets interesting. These 1976 D Lincoln pennies are so rare that they've been known to fetch some ridiculous prices on auction sites. We're talking $3 million for the right condition. That's not a typo. Some have been sold for prices that make you wonder if someone's out there paying in coins. Imagine finding one of these in your pocket change. You'd be sitting on a literal gold mine. Now, not every 1976 D penny is worth that kind of money. The condition has to be just right. You need to look for clear, sharp doubling on Lincoln's face, the date, and sometimes the motto. It's like spotting a hidden treasure, though. Just like with treasure hunts, you've got to know where to look. Here's a tip, if you think you've got a double die penny, take a good look at it under magnification. Check for any noticeable doubling, especially in the letters and numbers. If it's clear, then you might just have a keeper. Alright, so before you start going through every penny you can find, here's a little reminder, the 1976 D Lincoln penny with a double die error is incredibly rare, but they do exist. So, keep your eyes peeled, because one day, you might just find yourself holding a penny that could change your life. Now, if you're as excited about coin collecting as I am, don't forget to subscribe and hit that bell for more tips, tricks, and stories about coins worth serious cash. We're talking rare finds, cool errors, and even those pennies that everyone else overlooks, but not you. You're in the know. Hold on to your pocket change, because today we're diving into a penny that could change your life, literally. Have you ever dug through a jar of loose change, thinking you might just find something worth a couple of bucks? Well, today I'm gonna tell you about a 1979 D mint mark Lincoln penny that's worth a mind-blowing $2.9 million. Yep, you heard that right. A penny, you might be wondering, how on earth is a simple penny worth that much? Well, my friend, let's find out together. And I'll share a little story from my own life that might just make you look at your spare change a little differently. But before we get into the penny that could buy you a yacht, or, you know, a nice dinner, don't forget to hit that subscribe button for more tips on how to turn your change into big bucks. You won't want to miss it. Alright, so let's talk about the 1979 D Lincoln penny. Now, I know what you're thinking, a penny's a penny, right? Well, not always. Sometimes, the difference between a regular penny and one worth a fortune comes down to a few little details that make all the difference. So first off, you'll need to know what makes this specific penny so special. It's all about the mint mark, the letter on the coin that tells you where it was made. For the 1979 penny, there were three possible mint marks: no mint mark, the D mint mark, and the S mint mark. But the real star of today's show is the D mint mark, which stands for the Denver Mint. Now, let's get into why this penny is so valuable. It's not just about the mint mark, though. The real reason this penny is worth so much is due to a rare variety called the 1979D double die obverse. Basically, when the penny was struck, something went wrong in the minting process, and the design got double stamped, making the letters and numbers look slightly blurry or, well, doubled up. You know how sometimes you get a blurry photo on your phone when you accidentally tap the screen? Imagine if that blurry photo was worth millions. That's kind of what happened here. The doubled stamping on these pennies is subtle, but it's enough to make them incredibly rare and highly sought after by collectors. Now, let me tell you about my own experience. A few years back, I was at a yard sale. Yeah, I know, classic treasure hunt move, and I found a jar of old pennies. There were 1970s, some from the 80s, and even a few from the 90s. But something caught my eye, a shiny, well-preserved 1979D penny. I thought, hey, this could be worth a couple of bucks at most, and tossed it into my pocket. Fast forward to me doing some late-night coin research, you know, like you do, and I found out about these double die varieties. You won't believe me, but I grabbed that penny, put it under a magnifying glass, and sure enough, I could see the faint doubling on the date and the Liberty inscription. I was feeling pretty lucky. But don't worry, I checked with an expert first. Turns out, it wasn't the $1 million version I was hoping for. Still, I made a solid profit flipping that penny, so it was a win in my book. Now, before you go digging through your couch cushions, let me give you a heads up. Finding a 1979D double die obverse penny in great condition isn't exactly easy. There are only a handful of these in circulation, and even fewer in mint condition. But the good news is, if you happen to find one, it could fetch a serious amount of cash. The most recent sale of one of these pennies, $2.9 million at auction. Yes, you could retire early with a single penny. So, how do you spot one of these gems? Well, first, get yourself a magnifying glass, or, let's be real, use your phone camera for a close-up. Look closely at the date, 1979, and the word Liberty. If you see any doubling or the letters looking a little thicker, you might just have a winner. Don't forget to check the other side too, the reverse, where the Lincoln Memorial is. It's less likely to show doubling, but it's always worth a glance, and remember, condition matters. The better the condition, the more you can expect to get. So if you find a penny that looks brand new, that's even better. So, to wrap it up, don't just toss your pennies aside. A 1979D double die obverse penny could be worth millions. But even if you don't have a golden penny in your pocket, you can still make some serious cash by learning the ins and outs of rare coins. You never know, your next coin hunt could be the start of something big. Because what you're about to hear might just blow your mind, and possibly put you in the millionaire club. Ever thought that your pocket change could be worth millions? Well, today we're talking about a 1984 penny, but not just any old penny. This one has no mint mark, and it could be worth a jaw-dropping $2.7 million. Yes, you heard me right, $2.7 million. So if you've got one of these little guys lying around, this is your golden opportunity. But before you rush to your coin jar, let's break it down and figure out if you really have a $2.7 million penny, or if it's just another piece of copper clutter. Okay, first things first, 1984 pennies. You've probably seen a bunch of these, right? They're not exactly rare, just your typical copper coin. But what makes the 1984 NO mint mark penny so special? Well, it's all about that mint mark, or the complete lack of it. You see, most pennies from 1984 have a mint mark, either D for Denver or P for Philadelphia. But some folks believe that a very tiny number of these pennies, just a few, were accidentally made without a mint mark. And no, it wasn't a design choice or a new trendy style, it was actually a huge mistake in the minting process. Now, you're probably thinking, a mistake? Really? Yep, you're right to be skeptical. But here's the thing, mistakes in the world of rare coins can sometimes be the biggest treasure chests. That's why this little guy, this era coin, is the talk of coin collectors and investors everywhere. And what makes it even crazier? The value. We're talking about a coin that could easily fetch $2.7 million at auction. Mind-blowing, right? So how do you know if you've got one? First, check the date and look at the mint mark. If there's no D or P on your penny, you might just have one of these ultra-rare era coins. But here's where the plot thickens. While they're rare, finding one isn't the easiest thing. The 1984 NO mint mark pennies were likely struck in error in a batch of Philadelphia coins. Now, you might be wondering, well, how many of these mistake pennies are out there? Honestly, nobody knows for sure. Some say only a handful were made, while others believe there could be a few hundred. Either way, it's not a penny you'll come across every day. So, if you're lucky enough to have one, congrats. You're basically holding on to a tiny golden ticket. And let's be real, when was the last time you found a coin worth $2.7 million just hanging out in your couch cushions? Most of the time, it's a bunch of lint and a couple of dimes that never seem to add up. But hey, that's what makes this so exciting. Coins like this one remind us that sometimes the biggest treasures are hiding in plain sight, and that doesn't just apply to pennies. There's always a chance you could have the next big find sitting right in your change jar. So, what's the takeaway here? If you've got a 1984 penny with no mint mark, it could be worth more than your entire collection of forgotten coins from the 90s. But don't go spending it on a latte just yet. If you think you found one of these rarities, get it checked out by a professional. You never know when you might be sitting on a small fortune. And if you didn't find a 1984 NO mint mark penny today, don't sweat it. There's still tons of other rare coins out there that could make you a fortune. Trust me, I've got a whole stack of tips on how to spot coins worth serious money. Just last week, I found a 1922 no D wheat penny that was totally off my radar, and it's already got me thinking about how much more I can find. So, make sure to subscribe and hit that notification bell, so you never miss out on the next big coin discovery. Who knows? The next coin you stumble across might just be the one that changes everything. Don't forget, I'm here to help you make money, and have some fun along the way. A penny? Really? How much could it possibly be worth? Well, brace yourselves, because if you've got a 1987 D mint mark Lincoln penny lying around, you might just be sitting on a potential goldmine worth up to $2.50 million. Yeah, you heard me right, $2.5 million for a single penny. Before you start diving into your coin jar like it's the lottery, let's talk about why this particular penny is worth more than your average change. Stick with me, this is going to be a fun ride. Okay, first things first, let's get something straight. Not every 1987 D Lincoln penny is worth millions. In fact, most of them are worth, well, exactly 1 cent. So, why the hype about this specific coin? It's all about the minting error that makes it stand out from the crowd. Now, we all know the 1987 D mint mark. If you look carefully right there on the bottom of Lincoln's monument, you'll see that this penny was made at the Denver Mint. But in that year, some of the 1987 D pennies were struck with a super rare, and I mean super rare, error, a double die reverse. This means the die that strikes the penny had a bit of an issue. Instead of just one clear strike, it struck twice, leaving a doubled image on the reverse side of the coin, particularly noticeable in the lettering and the design details. See how the letters and the details on the reverse are doubled? That's the magic. The double die error makes this penny one of the most sought after coins for collectors. And trust me, collectors love a good mistake. But here's the catch, most of these 1987 D pennies don't have the double die error. It's a rare thing, and finding one is like finding a needle in a haystack. So, if you think you've got one, don't just toss it in the jar like it's a regular penny. Here's a tip, when you're checking your pennies, take a good look at the reverse side. You want to look for that clear doubling on the letters, particularly E pluribus unum, or around the United States of America lettering. If it's there, congrats, you found something special. And if you're like me, you probably have a huge jar of pennies lying around, right? I found an old jar from my grandma's house once, and I thought I'd struck it rich. Turns out, the only thing valuable in there was a 1971 penny, and even that just got me a chuckle from the coin store clerk. Not the jackpot I was hoping for, but I digress. Now, while most of us don't have a $2.5 million penny sitting around, it's still worth checking the ones you have. Some rare coins can be worth more than you think, whether it's a penny or a dime. And hey, at the very least, you might find a shiny one that's worth a couple of bucks. We'll take it, right? So, if you've got a 1987 D Lincoln penny and it's got that double die error, you could be sitting on a gold mine. But even if you don't fret. There are plenty of other rare coins out there that could still turn your pocket change into something valuable. Want more tips on coins that could be worth a lot of money? Hit that subscribe button and join me for more tips, tricks, and the occasional coin treasure hunt. Who knows, your next coin could be worth a small fortune, and I'm here to help you find it. You ever had a coin in your pocket that you didn't think was worth anything? You know, just another penny floating around, not even worth the effort to pick up. Well, what if I told you that one specific penny from 2001 could be worth $2.3 million? Yes, you heard that right, $2.3 million for a tiny, often overlooked Lincoln penny. Stick with me, because today, we're diving into this jaw-dropping discovery and why it's the perfect reminder to never overlook those coins in your change jar.so. Let's get into it. The 2001 penny, just another year, right? You probably have a bunch of them lying around. But here's the kicker, if your 2001 penny doesn't have a mint mark on it, you might be sitting on a literal gold mine. Now, you might be asking, wait, what's a mint mark? Fair question. Mint marks are those tiny letters you see on coins that tell you where it was made. A D means Denver, an S means San Francisco, and, of course, no mint mark means it was made in Philadelphia. But here's the fun part, in 2001, the US Mint was making pennies without putting that mint mark on them, totally by accident. Yep, it was a mix-up that led to these super rare, unmarked pennies. These no mint mark 2001 pennies are incredibly rare, and the value of one in good condition can skyrocket. While most 2001 pennies are worth, well, a penny, the ones without a mint mark have become a sought-after treasure for coin collectors and investors. In fact, one of these bad boys recently sold for $2.3 million. That's not a typo, folks, $2.3 million for a coin that was sitting in someone's pocket like it was just any other penny. Now, let me tell you a story. A few years ago, I was cleaning out my wallet and I found an old 2001 penny sitting in there. I almost tossed it out, but then I thought, maybe I should check if it's one of those rare coins. So, I googled it, and it turned out my penny was just a regular one with the mint mark. Disappointing, right? But here's the thing, it got me thinking. Even though my penny wasn't worth much, there are people out there who made a pretty penny, pun intended, because they took the time to look a little closer at their coins. That's why you should never just ignore those pennies lying around. Now, you might be wondering, how can you tell if you have one of these rare, mint markless coins? The answer is, you need to check closely. Look for the obvious signs, make sure it's from 2001, check that there's no mint mark, and assess its condition. A penny that's in great shape is worth more than a worn-out one, obviously. Also, if you're serious about cashing in on your coins, you might want to get it professionally graded to find out exactly how much it's worth, but let's say you don't have a 2001 no mint mark penny. Don't worry. There are plenty of other rare coins out there, and the market for these things is growing. You just need to be on the lookout and keep your eyes peeled when you're handling change. Sometimes, all it takes is one coin to make a huge difference in your life. Alright, let's wrap this up. That 2001 no mint mark penny might be rare, but you never know what you've got in your pocket until you check. Maybe it's not a $2.3 million penny, but maybe it's still worth something more than you think. And hey, if you enjoyed this little dive into coin collecting, and you want to hear more tips on how to find coins worth big bucks, be sure to hit that subscribe button. I've got tons more coin tips coming your way. Who knows, maybe the next time we chat, you'll have a treasure of your own. 2018 D Lincoln penny, that could be worth a whole lot more than just 1 cent. In fact, one of these babies just sold for a whopping $2 million. Yes, you heard that right, $2 million. So, if you're like me and you've been hoarding pennies in your couch cushions, this might just be the jackpot you've been waiting for. But before we dive in, I want to tell you why this isn't just a wild tale. I'm not the type of person who'll tell you to get excited about a coin that's not worth anything. Trust me, I've made my fair share of mistakes. I once thought I could sell a rare 1982 penny and make a fortune. Turns out, it was just a regular OL penny. My bad. But this 2018 D penny, it's the real deal. Stick with me, and by the end of this video, you'll know exactly why. Now, let's get into the good stuff. Why is this 2018 D penny worth $2 million? Well, first off, the 2018 D penny is an error coin. Yes, an actual mistake made during production. And as with most error coins, it's not just the mistakes that make them valuable, it's the rarity of that mistake. Think of it like this. Imagine if you accidentally drew a mustache on the Mona Lisa. Sure, it's an error, but it's also one of a kind, and people might pay big bucks to get their hands on it. So what's the mistake on this penny? Well, it's something known as a double die error. Basically, during the minting process, the design of the coin was struck twice, and it created some extra, blurry details around the Lincoln Memorial and Lincoln's face. You might not notice it right away, but if you have a sharp eye and know what to look for, this double strike is what sets this penny apart. And here's the kicker, it's not just any double strike. The 2018 D double die is rare, and rare means valuable in the world of coin collecting. Now, I know what you're thinking, is it possible I have one of these in my collection? Well, here's the thing. Only a handful of these coins have been found, so it's not like you'll find one in every box of pennies. But there's a good chance that some of you out there might have one sitting in a drawer or at the bottom of a coin jar, just waiting to be discovered. I know I've found some crazy coins in my time, and I'm betting a lot of you have some potential treasures hiding out there too. Let me tell you a quick story about my personal experience. A few years ago, I was casually going through my old penny jar, looking for something cool to share on the channel. And I stumbled upon what I thought was just a regular, everyday 1994 penny. But when I took a closer look, I noticed some faint doubling on Lincoln's face. I had no idea it was a double die at first. I thought maybe I was just seeing things. But after some research, I found out it was actually a minor error, worth a couple $100. Now, I wasn't retiring off of it, but it definitely made me more aware of what's out there. And if I hadn't been looking closely, I would have missed it. So, if you're holding on to any 2018 D pennies right now, it's worth taking a close look at them. Grab a magnifying glass or a good flashlight and check out the details around Lincoln's face and the memorial on the back. If you notice any weird doubling, you might just be holding on to a small fortune, but even if you don't have a 2018 D double die error penny, don't worry. There are plenty of other rare coins out there that could be worth more than you think. The key is knowing what to look for, and that's what we're here for. Alright, so there you have it. Your 2018 D Lincoln penny could be worth $2 million. If you find one, you might be the next person in the headlines. But even if your penny isn't worth that much, I hope this gives you a little excitement for what might be hiding in your own collection. Remember, coins like these don't always have to be expensive to be valuable, they just need to be rare. Now, before you go out and start searching your piggy bank for those pennies, I want you to hit that subscribe button and turn on notifications, because I've got tons more tips, strategies, and coin knowledge to share. Who knows? The next big find could be just a click away. Let me know in the comments if you found any rare coins, and as always, happy hunting, folks. Hey there, coin enthusiasts, treasure hunters, and accidental penny hoarders. What if I told you there's a tiny, unassuming 1962 Lincoln penny out there that could make you a multimillionaire? Yes, you heard me right, a $5 million payday, all from a coin most people wouldn't even bend down to pick up. Let's dive into why this penny is worth more than some mansions, and who knows, you might just have one hiding in a jar somewhere. And stick around to the end because I'll share a funny story about a penny hunt gone wrong. You won't want to miss it. Alright, so let's talk about the 1962 Lincoln penny. First, the D stands for the Denver Mint, which cranked out billions of pennies that year. But this isn't your average penny. What makes it special? One word: rarity. Now, most 1962 pennies are only worth their face value, yep, just 1 cent. However, a few have errors or unique features that send collectors into a frenzy. The big kahuna here is the elusive double-die penny. Imagine the lettering or Lincoln's profile on the coin looking slightly doubled. That's the jackpot. And one of these recently sold for $5 million at auction. $5 million. That's the kind of cash that makes you rethink every coin you've ever tossed in a fountain for good luck. So, what makes these errors so valuable? Well, it's all about supply and demand. Coin collectors, especially the hardcore ones, love anything unique. If only a handful of these error coins exist, collectors will pay insane amounts to own one. Think of it like Pokemon cards for adults who also happen to be history nerds. Now, here's where things get interesting. Checking your pennies isn't as hard as you think. All you need is a magnifying glass, or your phone's camera if you want to keep it simple, and a little patience. Look closely at the coin's date and mint mark. If anything looks slightly off or doubled, you might have hit the jackpot. Condition matters. Even if you have a rare 1962 penny, a scratched-up version won't fetch millions. Coin collectors are like dating apps, they swipe left on anything less than perfect. And let me tell you about my own penny hunt. A few months ago, I decided to search through an old jar of coins my grandpa left behind. I was sure I'd find something incredible, but spoiler alert, I didn't. Instead, I found about 37 Canadian pennies and one flattened penny from Disneyland. No million-dollar treasures, but hey, I did feel rich in nostalgia. So, what's the takeaway here? Check your pockets, jars, and that random drawer where all your spare change goes to die. You never know if you're holding on to a piece of history, or a ticket to early retirement. Imagine this: you're digging through your spare change, maybe just trying to scrounge up enough for a coffee, and boom, you spot a penny. But wait, it's not just any penny, it's a 1964 Lincoln penny worth $4.2 million. Yeah, you heard that right. A penny worth enough to buy a mansion, a fancy sports car, and still have cash left for an ice cream cone. Wild, huh? I know what you're thinking, a penny. $4.2 million? Are we in some alternate universe? Nope, this is real life, folks. So, grab your jar of coins, and let's dive into the fascinating story of this little copper jackpot. The 1964 Lincoln penny comes from the Denver Mint, marked with that tiny D under the date. Now, most 1964 pennies worth a penny. Maybe 2 cents if you're lucky. But this rare gem? It's a one-of-a-kind error coin that collectors are losing their minds over. Why so special? Well, the million-dollar coin likely stems from a minting mishap, something like a double die or an off-metal strike. Think of it as the mint's version of spilling coffee on your shirt at work, except instead of embarrassment, this oops turned into a multi-million-dollar payday. Collectors love these quirky, unique coins. It's like finding a Picasso painting in your attic, except, in your pocket. Let me share a quick story. A few months back, I was at a flea market, just casually browsing. Looking for those hidden gems, vintage trinkets, maybe some baseball cards. There's this guy with a rusty old tin can labeled Grandpa's Coins. Naturally, I dive in. I didn't find a 1964 D penny, sadly, but I did score a 1943 steel penny worth a couple $100. Not bad for a $5 gamble, right? Now, imagine if that 1964 D had been in there. I'd probably still be doing backflips in the flea market parking lot. True story. Alright, back to the penny. So, what's the deal with the $4.2 million price tag? This coin made waves when it sold at auction, thanks to its flawless condition and unique error. Experts grade coins on a scale from 1 to 70, kind of like grading your high school essays, except way more lucrative. This one? Near perfect. Combine that with its rarity, and bam! A collector was willing to shell out millions for it. I guess some people just really love pennies. Step 1, check your loose change. Seriously, dump out your piggy bank, raid your couch cushions, and don't forget those jars of pennies you've been ignoring for years. Look for the D mint mark under the date. And here's the kicker, grab a magnifying glass and inspect the coin closely. Weird markings? Doubling on the date or lettering? That's what you want. That if you think you've struck gold, or copper, in this case, get it professionally graded. Don't just show it to your buddy Steve who collects bottle caps. Find a reputable coin dealer or a grading service like PCGS or NGC. Be gentle. These coins are delicate, so no scrubbing them with soap or, heaven forbid, sandpaper. Treat them like royalty because, hey, they might just make you rich. Alright, let's wrap this up. The 1964 D Lincoln penny might be rare, but it's proof that treasure is literally out there, sometimes hiding in plain sight. Imagine how life-changing it would be to find one of these little guys chilling in your change jar. Crazy, right? You're rummaging through your spare change, and bam, a penny catches your eye. You're thinking, meh, just a penny, but wait. What if I told you it could be worth a whopping $3.7 million? That's right, folks, today we're talking about the 1967 no mint mark Lincoln penny, a tiny piece of copper that might just make you richer than your wildest dreams. So stick around because this is one coin story you cannot afford to miss, literally. First, what's the deal with this 1967 penny? Why is it so special? Well, let's start with the basics. The no mint mark just means it wasn't stamped with the usual letter that tells you where the coin was made, Philadelphia, Denver, or San Francisco. In 1967, the U.S. Mint decided, you know what? Let's ditch mint marks altogether this year. Why? They wanted to discourage collectors from hoarding coins during a coin shortage. Little did they know they'd accidentally create one of the most sought-after coins in history. Now, here's the kicker, not all 1967 pennies are worth millions. If you've got one in your pocket, chances are it's just worth, well, a penny. But if your 1967 Lincoln penny is in perfect uncirculated condition, I'm talking flawless, shiny, and looking like it just rolled off the mint's press, then you've got a ticket to the jackpot. And here's where it gets crazy. In 2023, one of these pennies sold at auction for $3.7 million. Can you imagine? That's the kind of money that turns a random coin in your junk drawer into the down payment for a private island. Let me tell you a quick story. A few years back, I was helping my grandpa clean out his old desk drawer. We found this little tin box full of coins. He was all, just toss it, it's junk. But being the coin nerd I am, I decided to take a closer look. One of those pennies. You guessed it, 1967, no mint mark. I got so excited, I was already planning my dream vacation. But, turns out, it had been through way too many vending machines. Scratched, scuffed, basically worthless. Grandpa got a good laugh out of it, though, and now we call it the penny that almost retired us. So, how do you know if your penny is worth big bucks? First, check the date, 1967, no mint mark. Then, look at the condition. Is it pristine? No scratches, no wear, just pure coppery perfection. If it looks like a penny you wouldn't dare put in a vending machine, it's worth getting appraised. And please, don't just take it to your local pawn shop, get a professional coin grader to check it out. Oh, and a little pro tip, don't clean your coin. I know it's tempting to polish it up to make it shine, but collectors hate that. They want it in its original, unaltered state, flaws and all. So, there you have it, the fascinating world of the 1967, no mint mark, Lincoln penny. Who knew something so small could hold so much value? If you're like me, you're probably about to tear apart every coin jar and couch cushion in your house. And hey, if you find one, don't forget who gave you the tip, maybe send me a postcard from your new mansion. You realize you might be holding a penny worth $3 million. Sounds like a dream, right? Well, let me tell you, it's not a dream. Today, we're talking about the infamous 1980 no-mint mark Lincoln penny, and why this little copper coin is making headlines for its jaw-dropping value. Stick around, because by the end of this video, you'll be heading straight to your coin jars, junk drawers, or grandma's house to start your own penny hunt. What's so special about this humble little penny? First things first, what's a no-mint mark coin? Most pennies are minted in specific locations, like Philadelphia, Denver, or San Francisco, and they leave a tiny letter on the coin to show where it was made. But in 1980, a batch of pennies left the Philadelphia Mint without a mint mark. Whoops! It's like forgetting to sign your name on a test but still getting an A+. Now, here's the kicker, most of these 1980 no-mint mark pennies are worth about, well, a penny. But there's a rare version of this coin, made with an unusual die, that's been fetching millions in auctions. Millions. That's retire tomorrow and buy a yacht, money. People, let me tell you a quick story. A few months ago, I was cleaning out an old coin jar. I wasn't expecting much, maybe a couple of wheat pennies or some loose change to feed the parking meter. But then I found this penny that looked off. No mint mark. My heart raced faster than my Wi-Fi when Netflix buffers. Turns out, it wasn't the multi-million-dollar one, but hey, it was still worth $50. That's dinner and dessert, on a penny. Now, here's what you need to look for. First, grab your magnifying glass or one of those cool phone zoom features. Check the penny's date. Does it say 1980? Awesome. Next, flip it around and check the details. Is there no mint mark under the date? You might be onto something. But before you start planning your new mansion, take it to an expert or a certified coin dealer for appraisal. These pros can confirm if your penny is the jackpot-worthy variety. Oh, and one more thing, condition matters. If your penny looks like it's been run over by a lawnmower, don't expect it to fetch a fortune. But if it's shiny and crisp, you might just be holding gold disguised as copper. So, there you have it, the 1980 no-mint mark Lincoln penny could be the key to your financial dreams. Who knew that something so small and ordinary could be so valuable? And hey, even if you don't find one worth millions, it's still a blast hunting for treasure in your spare change. Now, here's my challenge for you, go grab your coins and start searching. If you find something cool, drop it in the comments, I'd love to hear about your discoveries. And if you want more tips, tricks, and stories about how to turn pocket change into big bucks, hit that subscribe button and ring the bell. You won't want to miss what we've got coming up next. That's not a typo, and no, I haven't lost my mind. Today, we're talking about the 1988 Lincoln penny, a coin so valuable it might just make you rethink tossing your spare change in a jar. So, grab your magnifying glass and let's dive into what makes this little penny a big deal. Oh, and stick around to the end because I'll tell you how you can find treasures like this hiding in plain sight. Alright, let's start with the basics. The 1988 Lincoln penny, what's so special about it? For starters, we're not talking about any ordinary penny from your car cup holder. This specific penny was minted in Denver, hence the D mint mark. But what makes it worth a jaw-dropping $2.4 million? Well, it's all about a rare minting error. Apparently, someone at the mint had a really bad Monday. The 1988 D penny features a transitional reverse design. Basically, it has a mix-up of design features between 2 years. It's like wearing mismatched socks, except this time, it's worth a fortune. You know, this actually reminds me of a time when I almost threw away a valuable coin myself. A few years back, I was clearing out my junk drawer, you know, the one where you keep batteries that don't work and random screws from IKEA furniture. I came across an old penny that looked different. I thought, it's probably nothing, but decided to Google it anyway. Turns out, it wasn't worth millions, bummer, but it was worth a couple $100. Moral of the story, always check your coins, folks. Your junk drawer might just be your jackpot drawer. So, how do you know if you've struck gold? Well, copper, technically. Here's what to look for. First, check for the D mint mark right under the date. Next, inspect the reverse side. You'll need to pay close attention to the details in the lettering and design. A magnifying glass or loupe helps here. And finally, if you think you've got a winner, get it authenticated by a professional coin grader. Trust me, this isn't the time to eyeball it and guess. Imagine trying to sell it at a garage sale. Yeah, that'll be 50 cents. Oh, wait, this one's $2.4 million. Good luck explaining that to your neighbor Karen. So, what's the lesson here? Don't underestimate the value of the coins in your pocket or that jar on your dresser. Who knows, the next time you're counting out pennies, you might just be holding a piece of history worth millions. And hey, if you're as obsessed with coins as I am, or you're just looking for ways to turn pocket change into life-changing money, make sure to hit that subscribe button. Join me for more tips, stories, and strategies to uncover the hidden value in your coins. Who knows? Your next coffee run might just turn into a $1 million discovery. Until next time, happy hunting. Alright, folks, let me ask you something. Have you ever found a penny in your couch cushions or under your car seat and thought, just a penny, no big deal? Well, buckle up, because today we're talking about a 1973 Lincoln penny from the Denver Mint that's worth, wait for it, $3 million. Yeah, you heard that right. $3 million for a penny. It's the kind of story that makes you want to go rummaging through your change jar ASAP. Let's dive in and see if that lucky penny could be hiding in your pocket right now. Okay, here's the deal. The 1973 D Lincoln penny is like the Beyoncé of pennies. It's rare, it's iconic, and everyone wants it. But why is it worth so much? It's all about a combination of rarity, condition, and collector demand. This particular coin is famous for its unique error. Yep, even coins mess up sometimes. Apparently, some pennies from 1973 were struck on the wrong metal planchets. Instead of the typical copper, a few were made using aluminum. Boom! Instant collector's item. Now, here's a fun fact. The Denver Mint, where these beauties were created, is known for its D mint mark. So if you've got a 1973 penny and see that little D below the date, don't toss it into a vending machine just yet. It could be your ticket to an early retirement. But a word of caution, don't quit your job until you're sure it's the real deal. You know, this reminds me of the time I nearly lost what could have been a valuable coin. I was about to drop a handful of change into a tip jar at a coffee shop when I noticed something weird about a penny. It was shinier than the rest, and the date looked odd. I took it home, looked it up online, and it turned out to be worth about $2.50. Not $3 million, but hey, it bought me a latte. Moral of the story, check your change before you give it away, people. But imagine finding this $3 million penny. You'd probably need to call your bank, your lawyer, and maybe even your mom to tell her, remember when you said my coin collecting hobby was a waste of time? Yeah, well, who's laughing now? Seriously, it's the ultimate mic drop moment. So, what have we learned today? 1. Always check your pennies, especially if they're from 1973 and have a little D on them. 2. mistakes can actually make you rich. And 3. Sometimes your spare change is more valuable than that spare tire in your trunk. You stumble across a penny that's not just worth a cup of coffee but a small island in the Caribbean. Sounds too good to be true. Well, hold on to your hats, because today we're talking about the 1979 no-mint mark Lincoln penny, a coin that's turning heads and making millionaires. Now, before you start tearing apart your coin jars like it's a treasure chest, let's dive into what makes this penny so special. And hey, stick around because I'm also going to share how I almost threw away a potentially valuable coin. Spoiler alert, I'm still kicking myself for that one. So, what's the deal with this 1979 no-mint mark penny? First, let's decode the mystery of the no-mint mark. Coins minted in Philadelphia typically don't have a mint mark, but this specific penny stands out because it's insanely rare. Most pennies minted that year were, well, regular pennies, worth a cent and destined to jingle in your pocket forever. But this little guy. It's the Beyoncé of pennies, unique, sought after, and shining in the spotlight. The big reason for its $2.8 million value? It's all about scarcity and condition. Only a handful of these pennies were struck in near-perfect condition, making them the holy grail for collectors. Imagine finding a pristine coin that survived decades without a scratch. It's like finding a white t-shirt from the 70s without a single stain. Now, here's where things get fun. People have sold this penny at auctions for jaw-dropping prices. Just last year, one sold for, wait for it, $2.8 million. Yep, you heard that right. Someone paid the price of a mansion for a coin you might accidentally toss into a tip jar. Crazy, right? Here's a quick story for you. A couple of years ago, I found a penny in my car. It had no mint mark, and I thought, hey, maybe it's worth something. So, I Googled it and realized I needed to get it checked out. But before I could, I accidentally spent it on a pack of gum. Turns out, it wasn't valuable, but can you imagine if it was? That cashier might be sitting on millions right now, and I'm here talking to you about it. Life's funny like that. Alright, back to you becoming a millionaire. If you want to find this penny, start by checking your loose change. Look for a 1979 penny with no mint mark under the date. Condition matters too. If it's shiny and looks brand new, it's worth getting it appraised. Use a magnifying glass and good lighting. I mean, don't break out the lab goggles, but give it a good look. And if you think you've struck gold, or copper in this case, get it graded by a professional coin service. It's like getting your car appraised, but way more exciting because it could lead to a big payday. Alright, folks, let's wrap this up. The 1979 no-mint mark Lincoln penny is proof that tiny details can lead to massive paydays. It's like hitting the jackpot with something most people overlook. So, start checking your coins. Your couch, car, and grandma's coin jar could be hiding a fortune. And hey, if you love the idea of turning everyday coins into big bucks, make sure to hit that subscribe button. I've got tons of tips, stories, and strategies to help you make money from your change. Who knows, your next find could be worth millions. Let me ask you something. Have you ever casually glanced at your pocket change and thought, what if I'm holding a fortune? Well, guess what? That could be you today. Yep, we're talking about the 1982 no-mint mark Lincoln penny, a tiny, unassuming copper coin that could make you a millionaire. Yes, millionaire. I mean, imagine buying a $2.5 million mansion because of a penny. It sounds ridiculous, but it's absolutely true. Before we dive into how this little copper king came to be worth more than a yacht, let me tell you about a time I almost threw away a small fortune. So, a few years ago, I found myself in a coin roll hunting rabbit hole. If you don't know what that is, it's when you beg your bank for rolls of pennies, then sit on your couch for hours, hoping to strike gold, air, copper. I spent an entire Saturday doing this, armed with nothing but a magnifying glass, a pile of pennies, and my cat giving me judgmental stares. Spoiler, I didn't find the 1982 no-mint mark penny. But someone out there did. And they cashed it in for a whopping $2.50 million. Here's the deal with this legendary penny. Back in 1982, the US Mint was transitioning from copper pennies to cheaper zinc ones. Somewhere in that chaos, a few pennies rolled off the line without the mint mark, which is supposed to tell you where the coin was made. It's like a "Where's Waldo" of the coin world, but instead of a red and white sweater, you're looking for a tiny letter, or lack of one. Now, you might be thinking, okay, cool. A penny without a mint mark. Big deal. But here's why it's a huge deal: it's rare. Rare like finding a decent parking spot at the mall on Black Friday. The 1982 no mint mark penny was made in Philadelphia, but they didn't stamp the P mint mark on it. The result? Coin collectors go absolutely bananas for it. And when collectors go bananas, you cash in.so, how do you know if you've hit the jackpot? First, dig through your penny jar. Go ahead, I'll wait. Found a 1982 penny? Great. Now, check for these three things. Is it made of copper, not zinc? A quick tip: copper pennies weigh about 3.11 grams, while zinc ones are lighter at 2.5 grams. Does it pass the sound test? Drop it on a hard surface. Copper pennies have a nice ring to them, zinc ones sound, well, sad. If your 1982 penny ticks all these boxes, congratulations, you could be holding a $2.5 million payday. Imagine what you could do with that kind of money. Pay off debt. Travel the world. Or maybe buy a lifetime supply of snacks so you never run out of chips again. Look, I get it. Most of us don't think much about our loose change. But that's the beauty of coin collecting. It's like a scavenger hunt where the prize isn't a plastic toy but actual life-changing money. So, next time you see a penny on the ground, don't walk past it. That little coin could be your golden, or should I say, copper, ticket. Now, before you dive headfirst into your coin jar, here's a pro tip: subscribe to my channel. Every week, I'll share insider tips, tricks, and stories to help you find coins worth real money. Trust me, you don't want to miss out, because the next $2.5 million coin could be sitting in your pocket right now. Did you know that a little penny sitting in your spare change could make you a millionaire? Yep, you heard me right, millionaire. Today, we're talking about the 1991 D. Lincoln penny, and guess what? One of these bad boys recently sold for a jaw-dropping $2.3 million. That's not just pocket change, that's life-changing. Stick around, because I'm breaking down what makes this coin so special, how to spot it, and why you might want to start digging through your couch cushions. Alright, let's talk about the 1991 D penny. At first glance, it looks just like any other penny: Lincoln doing his thing on the front, the Lincoln Memorial on the back, and the little D mint mark telling you it was made in Denver. But here's the kicker: some of these coins were made with a crazy minting error, making them extremely valuable. What kind of error, you ask? Well, experts believe a small batch of 1991 D pennies was struck on the wrong type of planchet, the metal blank used to make coins. Instead of the standard copper-plated zinc, these rare gems were minted on bronze planchets left over from pre-1982 pennies. That's like baking cookies with leftover dough from a secret recipe. These coins weigh slightly more, about 3.1 grams instead of the usual 2.5 grams. Now, let me tell you a quick story. A friend of mine, let's call him Mike, once laughed when I said I'd make money hunting coins. Fast forward a year, and Mike's frantically texting me pictures of every penny he owns. Turns out, he found a 1991 D penny that weighed more than it should. I told him to get it verified by a professional coin grader, and guess what? His penny sold at auction for thousands. Okay, it wasn't $2.3 million, but still, a couple $1,000 from a penny? Not too shabby. So, how can you get in on this? First, grab a magnifying glass and a scale. Check any 1991 D pennies for that extra weight. Then, inspect the details. Sharp, crisp lettering is often a sign of a high-quality minting error. Finally, get your coin authenticated by a reputable grading service like PCGS or NGC, and here's where the real fun begins. Coins like these are selling for serious cash because collectors and investors are willing to pay big bucks for unique finds. The most recent auction winner: $2.3 million. Imagine what you could do with that kind of money. New house. Early retirement. Buy a lifetime supply of tacos. The sky's the limit. Imagine finding a penny worth $2 million just sitting in your pocket change. Yep, you heard me right, $2 million. That's what happened with a rare 1997 D. Lincoln penny. And no, this isn't some too-good-to-be-true infomercial, it's legit. Today, we're diving into what makes this coin so valuable, how to spot one, and why your junk drawer might just hold the key to early retirement. And stick around, I've got a wild story about the time I almost threw away a small fortune. The 1997 D. penny. You've probably seen this guy, good ol' Lincoln chilling on the front, the Lincoln Memorial on the back. But what makes this one so special? It's all about the errors, folks. A regular 1997 D. penny. Worth 1 cent. But a 1997 D. penny with a rare minting error. Jackpot. These errors happen when something goes wrong during the coin-making process. Maybe the die was misaligned, or there was a double strike. In this case, we're talking about a super rare double die reverse. What's that mean? Basically, parts of the back of the penny look doubled, almost like the coins had won too many cups of coffee and can't sit still. You'll see it in the words United States of America or E pluribus unum. If you've got one of these gems, congratulations. You might be holding the most expensive penny on the planet right now. Now, let's talk numbers. The current market value of this bad boy: $2 million. That's enough to pay off a mortgage, buy a Tesla, or finally fund that backyard chicken farm you've been dreaming of. The reason for the sky-high price? Its rarity. Experts believe only a handful of these pennies exist. Start checking your spare change. Dig through those couch cushions, raid your piggy banks, and definitely don't skip the coin jar in your car. And here's a fun fact: once, I almost chucked a handful of pennies in a Coinstar machine. But guess what? I spotted a 1982 small date penny in the pile, which turned out to be worth over $50. Moral of the story: don't underestimate the power of a penny. Alright, let's recap. The 1997 D. penny with a rare minting error is worth $2 million, but you'll never know if you've got one unless you check. Take a closer look at the pennies in your life. They might just be your ticket to financial freedom. Grab a magnifying glass, start inspecting, and let me know in the comments if you find something cool. And hey, if you're as coin-obsessed as I am, or even if you just love the idea of turning pocket change into big bucks, hit that subscribe button and join our little treasure hunting crew. Trust me, you don't want to miss our next video. It's all about a coin that could turn you into a millionaire overnight. Until then, happy hunting, and remember, the best things in life aren't free, they're just really, really shiny.